Hello and welcome to Saturday's Stash Dive. It's Tuesday and I'm just using some stamps today. I've got some heavy watercolor paper that I'm inking on. And I thought about cutting it down first, but I didn't do that. I kind of wanted everything to go off the edge. And so what I'm doing here is I'm playing with stamps. You saw that I had the Tim Holtz stamp, and I'm just inking it and then trying to get it as dark as I can. Then I'm spraying it with water. And I saw Irit do something similar to this that she learned in a watercolor class where she did it on the block. The stamp block. She had a circular or kind of a scallop one. I didn't have that. So I wanted to play with my stamps and use them in a different way, but I'm really into watercoloring right now, so I thought it was kind of a 2-for-1 thing. So I just am doing the same thing over and over, and I think I kind of skip parts, and that way you don't have to watch me do every single color. But that Tim Holtz stamp just has, like, it looks speckly. So I do it a couple of times and then I spray it. The second stamp that you see, and I go back and I do it again because it doesn't really show up well. It says you, and it says you plus me, and then it's underlined forever baby. Something like that. And since it didn't show up well enough, I do go back with each one of my colors and add it again on top. And so that way it's kind of a stamp on a stamp, so to speak. And I had another idea for Saturday Stash Dive, but I kind of ran out of time this week, so I think I'll try it and share it sometime, maybe this week or next weekend. But I definitely wanted to show you this. Now see, there you can see it much better. And that's why I go back and make it darker on the rest. So see, that shows up so pretty, and it's the same exact colors going on top of each other. And I didn't think I think here pretty quickly I skipped to the next part. And I'm using the colors of the rainbow because they look so pretty together, and everybody's been doing rainbows, and Irit did similar, like I said, with rainbows. And I do go back with the block, like, and fill in some of the gaps on the edges where I tried what she did. And it was a lot more loose and watery. It wasn't as pigmented and as concentrated, I guess, as this technique. So I just kind of expanded on that, and you'll see, like, when I did want to add more color in some places, I just went direct to the ink pad. And I thought it turned out really pretty. It's super vibrant. The distress inks work really, really well. I've been trying to find some different uses with those, and it's kind of funny because I've always used them pretty much as traditional stamps, or to color with, kind of like this, but on a smaller scale, where I went direct with my brush, like a very small brush, and painted in stamped images. And that was another thing I could have showed you, because I have done that many times in the past, where I'll have an image that I want to, like, paint in or watercolor that's stamped. And you can do that very easily with distress inks. It's just a matter of a water brush or a brush with a little bit of water, and the inks blend fabulous. So maybe I did keep all of the process. Oh no, here I skipped a little bit. Oh, and This was another stamp, and I was going to try and use it to go on top, but that part didn't work out. I watered it, and it didn't show up that well. Then I cut it out, and it just kind of looked like some weird crosses. So I think the key here is to use something that's more of a background texture, and that is much easier. Anything with detail is not really going to work out. But I do like how the butterflies look all inked like that, and I just cut that off. I think you'll see me play with it a little bit more. I went around the edges with the different colors, but I wish I hadn't done that now in hindsight, because I decided to go back and fill in those gaps in the white, and the other distress inks that I went around the edges didn't really fill in right. So like the blue around that yellow, when I go back and add in yellow on my block and kind of do it, see, that's where you just add it that way, and see how much more I don't know, it's just more blotchy and not as colorful. But when you go back and you do that, you can tell, like up in that blue corner, it made the two distress inks kind of blend and make a muddy color. So I would rather have not done it that way. I would rather have not edged the, So you can see there that I'm going the ink straight to the block and then watering down the block. And so that's how Erit did it. But it's a lot looser, it's a lot more softer, it looks very different. So you should try both. They're both super fun. Okay, so this layout took me about an hour and 32 minutes, and a lot of it was because of this process right here. Of course, the more detail and the more you put into your pages, the longer they're going to take. When I just use regular product and I'm throwing together a layout and pulling from my stash or from a kit, it's like a 30 to 40 minute process on average. So anytime I do some detail work or fussy cutting or that sort of thing, it's always going to take longer. So as I said, I didn't end up using the butterflies. It just didn't work out for me. I ended up punching out some butterflies. So I thought they looked much better. And the picture here is a picture of my daughter London, and she's with our bulldog Meech that ran away. And I just took some of those colorful doilies that I got in a rack from Kathy. So sweet of her. And I love them. I use them on everything. I thought that they played off of the colors, and I didn't want the doilies to be too bright, so they were perfect. They were a little more muted because the watercolor was so intense that I decided to kind of surround it by something a little softer. But the background was so plain that it was, even though it was softer, it was harsh against all the watercolor. So I think I found a good balance there. And I will link Maggie Mylow's name down in the description bar, because she is Lisa, and she is doing this challenge with me for Saturday Stash Dive, and she's very talented, and you'll want to check her out. She is the moderator with Sandra for snldesign.net and the Facebook group Will Craft for Supplies, and she is maggiemylow on YouTube, and Sandra is Oh Snap Gonzo. So you should definitely watch them. They're lovely girls, just sweethearts, and they became good friends through YouTube because, you know, this is an awesome community of scrapbookers and crafters, and I think you would enjoy them. And I would encourage you to join the Will Craft for Supplies. It kind of keeps you on a budget and makes you be a part of a group that, you know, really likes to use what they have and utilize that, which is always good, right? You don't always have to have the latest and greatest. I know that I've got plenty in my stash. So here I'm gonna go in with just some scraps I pulled out of my scrap bin and layer. I punch out the butterflies with the Martha Stewart punch, and I did distress the edges with the same ink colors that I used for the watercoloring, and so that kind of ties everything in. And I have the picture of London and Meech. She's so cute, such a cutie. And that was on her Instagram, which I get printed at Instagram online, which is also called Social Print Media or Social Print Studio, something like that. But they are doing all sorts of fun things with Instagram pictures, and I think the quality is just phenomenal. You definitely want to check them out. Oh my gosh, love them. And you know, here's my theory on the whole Instagram thing. My kids have so many things that they see that I don't see, and their whole life is about, you know, their day in and day out, and they're documenting that for me on Instagram. So I've got it made. All I have to do is log in their Instagram account on Prinstagram, and I get to pick every picture that I want to document their life for that year, and voila. You know, I ask questions, I get great prints, it's a great price, they mail them to me, I do it all from home, and it's kind of like I get to view their year through their eyes. And I would have missed all those moments had I not done that. So, you know, you see it on a regular basis when you know, watch Instagram on a daily basis, but you forget those things. And this way I can put them in my albums and document them and ask them, well, what was this about? And what were you doing here? And I think it's awesome. I love doing that. That little heart sticker you saw actually comes from the Social Print Media. I was going to try and use it, but it was too bright. And I'm using the Amy Tan thickers, the little rubber thickers in pink that I love, love, love. They're so awesome. Taking some of that distress ink in the blue, I think that's Broken China, and adding it. And it just says, London loves Meech. So I will finish up here. Let's see, just to give you an idea of the colors I used, distress ink wise, I used Festive Berries, Broken China, Mustard Seed, Peeled Paint, Spiced Marmalade, and Dusty Concord. And then the stamps, Mama Elephant Love Quotes, which you saw me stamp with the archival ink down at the bottom there. And it also says the You, Me, Forever Baby. And then the Tim Holtz Urban Chic and Urban Tapestry is the Stampers Anonymous ones that you saw there. That little heart was just in my scraps over to the side, so I liked it better than the die cut. So, and that's the little S from the die cut, so London loves Meech. And I think that about wraps it up. I just layer with some L Studio little cut-aparts, and that favorite moments is We Are Memory Keepers. the hashtag never forget. I thought that was appropriate, right? Because it's Instagram. That's Bella Boulevard. And then I'm just using these little arrows, and I end up gluing those down. Those don't stick very well. I'm trying to remember who they're by, but I will wrap it up with some music, and there'll be still pictures at the end. And I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you watching. If you like it, please thumbs up, and I will talk to you soon. Ta-ta for now. Bye.